The Fed cut interest rates. Is that what you mean?
Very good. The Fed slashed interest rates to nearly zero, and the Fed wasn't the only one. All big central banks did it. In fact, it was coordinated.
Well, how did this affect the currency market?
Well, it basically killed it. Since rates were all the same and they were near zero, there was nothing to trade.
Okay, so in other words, you couldn't trade currencies against each other because everything was flat.
Exactly. This was bad for trading. You want lots of movement to make money.
So what happened? What did you do?
Well, I didn't trade currencies very much, but last year that all changed. As the Fed started raising rates, it created a lot of volatility and opportunity for us.
So it started sending currencies up and down, big moves like we hadn't seen in years.
Yes, this was bad for stock market investors. They lost big, but for currency traders, it created an unbelievable opportunity to make money, as you can see here.
Wow, okay, according to Bloomberg, volatility is creating enormous fortunes for traders.
Over the past year, Wall Street has turned to their currency traders, and they've made a fortune.
It says here, rates and currencies traders just handed Wall Street's trading desks their best third quarter ever. JP Morgan in particular saw record-breaking results. I mean, this is an amazing stat. Bank of America's traders went the entire quarter without a single losing day. I mean, that's crazy. 90 straight days of gains? I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that.
We're talking about all the big banks: JP Morgan, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America. Combined, they've all made tens of billions of dollars in the currency market.
I had no idea this was going on. All I remember is Wall Street telling us to brace ourselves. Their message was basically, there's nothing you can do. Just try to absorb the punches and hope for the best. Meanwhile, they've been trading currencies and making record profits. I mean, if that isn't proof that the pillars of financial power keep the best ideas to themselves, I don't know what is.
It's unbelievable, right?
Yes.
But here's what you need to remember. It doesn't have to be this way. Everyday folks could be making money right now alongside of them. Can we pull up the next chart?
Yeah, sure. Okay, we've got it on screen there. And what are we looking at here? Is this the British pound?
Yes. This is the performance last August and September.
That's a big move. What happened?
Well, do you remember all the chaos with the new prime minister?
Oh, yes. You're talking about the lady who was only in for a couple of weeks?
6 weeks to be exact. Her name was Liz Truss. Inflation was running rampant in the UK, so she proposed some risky moves to fix the economy. Long story short, it was a complete failure.
Yeah, so we can see it there on the screen. The pound fell 11% against the dollar in a month and a half, and it hit a record low. It got so bad that Deutsche Bank warned about a sterling crisis.
Well, now, for most investors, that was really bad news. Even here in America, look what happened to the stock market.
Yikes. S&P fell 13% over the same time period. I mean, you're right. Everybody got crushed.
Everybody except currency traders. Check this out.
With one currency trade, you could have made over $11,000. That's the biggest gain we've seen yet. While most investors lost their shirts, those who are willing to try the currency market could have seen a 5-figure payday.
Yes, and it's because of all the chaos. Here's another example. Jump back to November.
Okay, what happened this time?
The latest inflation data came out. It came in at 7.7, slightly lower than forecast.
It sent the dollar tumbling, the biggest two-day drop in nearly 14 years. That sounds pretty chaotic, Larry.
It was for sure. For most people, this was a bad thing. It meant their dollars were worth a lot less. But for currency traders, it was great news.
Right. You could have made $2,761 in just 2 days.
And look at July.
The dollar retreated ahead of a rate hike. This time around, you could have made $3,010 in 14 days.
Well, think about it, Kim. Think about making $3,000 right now.
For a lot of people, that's a mortgage payment from one trade. I know nothing in the market is ever guaranteed, but are these exceptional examples?
No, they're happening all the time. Please understand, Kim, we're seeing moves like we haven't seen in years. The chaos window is open. In fact, there's more
money to be made than ever. What do you mean? Do you mean that the actual size of the currency market is getting bigger?
Yes. For years now, Forex has been the world's biggest market. But now Now it's been ever. Around 7 trillion change hands every day.
That number is so big, it's really just hard to wrap my head around it.
Well, think about it this way. Every day, there's 200 times more money traded in currencies than the stock market.
Most people don't know the first thing about this market, let alone how to trade it. Yet there's 200 times more money up for grabs than with stocks.
And that money isn't going anywhere. Like I said, it's actually growing.
What was it before?
Well, a few years ago, the daily volume was around 5 trillion. Today, sometimes it hits 7.4 trillion. This is the exact opposite of what's happening in the stock market.
Last year, trillions of dollars of stock market wealth disappeared. At one point, as much as $13 trillion vanished into the ether.
Look how that impacts everyday folks.
Yes, in 2022, the average 401k lost 23%. In other words, stock investors were scrambling for table scraps. Meanwhile, Wall Street currency traders are having a 7-course meal.
They are gorging on it as we speak.
Yeah.
Jump back to last April.
What happened this time?
Well, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell announced a big rate hike was on the table. Now, once again, this was bad for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, right. The stock market fell 8% in April, ushering in a month of chaos.
Everyday investors got crushed, but not currency traders.
The dollar hit a 2-year high. Had you placed a trade, you could have made $1,546 in just 7 days. That's quite the disparity. So while the S&P posted one of its biggest monthly drops in years, one currency trade paid off big.
It's night and day, right?
Yeah.
That's what could have happened during a chaos window.
Now, Larry, does the dollar have to hit a 2-year high for us to make a big gain? What about smaller moves?
Great question. The answer is no. Even smaller moves can deliver big gains.
Can we see an example of that?
Sure. Take one of our beta test trades. In February, we issued a trade between 2 big currencies.
And you predicted that one would get slightly stronger than the other. Is that right?
Yes. Now, not a lot stronger, but just a little bit, around 1 cent worth. Look at the gains.
In just 8 days, you could have made $521 from a $5,000 investment. That's all it took? A 1 cent move? That's really unbelievable. I mean, if you bought $5,000 worth of Apple stock and the price moved a penny, you'd barely make a dime.
It's true, Kim, and yet most people are settling for that dime. They could have hundreds of dollars instead.
It's almost impossible to amplify your earning power to that degree anywhere else. With stocks, if it rises a penny, you only make a penny. And if it falls a penny, you lose a penny. Same thing with bonds or any conventional investment. Yet with currencies, you can play them either way and potentially make hundreds and thousands of dollars, in some cases in just a few days, from a tiny move.
You are starting to see why I think everybody should try Forex.
Yes, I definitely am. And I will say you have made it as easy as possible to follow. Being able to flip this chaos to our advantage with a system that's worked for decades, trading just 3 currencies, doesn't get more straightforward than that.
That's all it takes to potentially make money every week.
Okay, we're going to get into your strategy in just a minute. We're also going to discuss your #1 currency to trade right now. You're going to want to see exactly what it is, folks. If it moves like Larry expects it to, you could have the chance to make a lot of money in the coming days. But Larry, there is something that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, and that is, couldn't the same thing happen to the currency market that's happening to the stock market now? I mean, for years, the stock market was on fire. It seemed like practically it was breaking out to a new high. And of course, we all know what happened next. It all came crashing down. Couldn't the currency market find itself in the same situation?
That's a great question, but I believe the answer is no.
Why not? Why does the currency market offer broad market crash protection?
Because currencies don't trade like stocks and bonds. They trade in pairs. When one goes up, another goes down.
Okay, in other words, when you hear someone say the dollar is rising, what they really mean is that it's rising versus another currency.
Exactly. That's the way currencies work. If one is strong, the other is weak.
And that's why you're protected against a broad market crash, because of that seesaw action, right?
Exactly. Individual currencies may fall.
Collapse.
Sure, it's possible, but not very likely. This chart illustrates what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we see it there on the screen. It's called the Barclay Hedge Currency Traders Index.
That name's a mouthful, but the strategy is simple. It's an index that tracks currency traders.
This is its performance since its inception in 1979 to March of 2023. That's got to be the smoothest chart I've ever seen. It almost never goes down.
Crazy, right? Look at stress points in the Forex market.
We had the Asian currency collapse in the late 90s, Soros versus the Bank of England in the early 90s, even COVID.
Through it all, there was never a widespread crash, and the same is true today.
Are you sure that's accurate, Larry? It seems too good to be true.
It's accurate. Another currency portfolio shows the same thing. Check it out.
This one is called the Eureka Hedge FX Hedge Fund Index. Is that right?
It's just like the other. It follows the performance of Forex hedge fund managers.
And look at that performance. In 2022, while the stock market crashed, it delivered 12.87% returns. That's amazing. I talked to a lot of financial experts, and nobody's talking about this. It's one of the best kept secrets in finance.
It's a huge advantage over the stock market. Think about how many crashes we've had this century.
Well, we had the 2022 crash, the 2020 crash, the 2008 crash, and the 2000 crash. Did I get them all?
Yes, very good. There were 4 major crashes. The stock market collapsed by as much as 76%, and the effects were felt for years.
Wow, it took 15 years to recover after the 2000 crash. So in other words, you had to wait a decade and a half just to get back to even?
And to make it worse, we've had another 10 corrections. Every other year, on average, the market has dropped as much as 15% within a year.
Is that true? I had no idea the stock market was so volatile.
Crazy, right? But with Forex, you don't have to worry about that. Currency traders avoid all these drops.
You know, I feel like I'm being exposed to a completely new world here. There's the stock market world, and it's been total chaos lately. Crashes, rate hikes, and massive corrections every other year. That's the world we're all familiar with. And then there's this realm of Forex, where apparently there are no market crashes, no recessions, and where more money is flowing into than ever.
There is so much money to be made right now, Kim. Look at these examples.
In July, the euro dropped a few pennies relative to the dollar. You could have made $1,208 in 9 days. In September, a U.S. dollar surge could have given you $3,040 in 6 days. In December, a U.S. dollar drop could have given you $1,207 in just 8 days.
These are just a few examples. I could show you many, many more.
Your team put together a list of recent moves in the market. Obviously, it would have been impossible to capture all of them, but as you can see, there are a lot of examples of big winners here. $2,199 in 7 days, $1,480 in 2 days, $3,040 in 6 days, $3,681 in 8 days, $3,159 in 12 days, and on and on and on. These are all from the past 12 months from just 3 currencies.
Every one of them. Again, this is a small sample size. I could show you tons more. Here's the bottom line. There is no need to suffer anymore.
We don't have to delay retirement or wait out this market. That's all in the past.
Yes, using just 3 currencies, you can generate steady income every single week.
Well, if anybody knows how to handle a difficult market, it is you, Larry. During a period that included both the 2000 and 2008 crashes, you were perfect. You never had a single losing year. And last year, you did it again. As the NASDAQ fell 33%, you showed your readers how to see double and even triple-digit growth. So if we are in for some tough times, this guy right here, you are just the man I'd want in my corner. When can folks start using your strategy?
Immediately. In fact, I've identified the perfect opportunity, and it's coming right up.
Well, and that's why we wanted you here, Larry. For those joining us late, you have made a timely decision to be here. We are smack in the middle of one of the most difficult market environments in decades. We're seeing bank failures, inflation, layoffs, a whipsawing market, and more. And some of the smartest experts, including Larry, believe we are in for several more difficult years. Some believe the pain could last for a decade or more. And even if they're half right, that could push millions of people. By tapping into the currency market, you could not only avoid the chaos, but use it to have a chance to make money consistently. Using Larry's strategy, you have the chance to piggyback one of the best currency traders alive today. His hedge fund was ranked in the top 1% for several years by Barron's. You can see his ranking on your screen. 36th in the world. Considering there are 10,000 hedge funds, that is an incredible achievement. In fact, because of his success, he's one of the few dozen people in the entire world to earn the label Market Wizard. We have the book right here. He was featured in the best-selling series with an entire chapter. Now, for the first time, he's showing you how to access this market and even offering to guide you along on your journey. The only catch is that you need to act quickly. The next big opportunity to use his strategy is just days away. We've also got Larry's on-air trade demonstration, the name of his #1 currency, a major announcement from Larry, and a Q&A. That is all coming up. But first, let's get right into it. I want to know your secret. What is your strategy for capturing these kinds of gains?
Well, I can't reveal everything. After all, that is the secret to my success. But I can share a few things. Secret number 1 is to put a P on the page.
I've heard you touch on that before. What does that mean exactly, put a P on the page?
Well, when I started out trading, I did what most people do. I swung for the fences. I wanted to make $1 million overnight.
And I'm guessing that didn't go very well.
No, not at all. I didn't. I got fired many times, but gradually I evolved. My goal became to put a P on the page every day.
And P stands for profit, right?
Correct.
Okay, in other words, you stopped shooting for the 100% gainers and instead you focused on steady, consistent gains. So 2% to 5% every single day, over and over again?
Yes, that's all it takes, especially when it comes to currencies. Let me show you what I mean.
What are we looking at?
Trading statements from my hedge fund days. Don't worry about the trades. Look at the dates.
It goes one day to the next. It looks like you were trading every day.
We weren't hitting home runs, just lots of singles, but the singles grew into millions.
Now I get what you're saying, Larry, and I agree with your general approach, but still, isn't it smart to go big every now and then? I mean, after all, even in bad years, you get into the right stock at the right time, and it can move the needle on your entire portfolio, right?
Sure. Let me ask you a question, Kim. Go back to last year. How many stocks in the S&P 500 returned over 100%?
Well, I'm guessing it wasn't very many, but still, there must have been a few, right?
Just one.
One?
One. Occidental Petroleum. Forget about making 1,000%. You would be lucky to make 100%.
But 2022 was an especially bad year, so is it really fair to use it as an example?
Well, go back to 2021. You still only had a dozen stocks that had 100% gain.
That's it?
Yes. And of course, there were no 1,000% winners for sure.
So even if it's a good year, you're still talking about a small fraction.
Yes. Listen, I know it's fun to hit a grand slam. I've had my share of big winners over the years, 300%, 500%, 700%, and so on. But my success comes from a lot of base hits.
So that's the secret to compounding your wealth. Put a P on the page.
Yes, and in the long run, you will end up a lot wealthier.
Well, to your point, this approach helped you grow your hedge fund to over $800 million. So it's hard to argue with that kind of success. If you can make 2% every day the markets are open, that's 10% a week. You do that over the course of a year, 504%.
Well, obviously, there's still going to be some losers here and there, but even still, you're talking about a lot of money.
Yes, you are. Okay, so the first secret of your strategy is put a P on the page. What's next?
Number 2, use volatility to your advantage.
But how do you do that? Is there a way to anticipate when and where the volatility is going to hit?
Well, with currencies, yes. Look at this.
It looks like a calendar.
Yes, I call it the chaos calendar. See all these events?
Yes, every week there's something. Fed announcements, inflation reports, and many other things that most of us have probably never heard of.
Well, the currency market is connected to everything. The economy, the stock market, and more. All kinds of events can trigger moves.
So this calendar is a cheat sheet of sorts. You can use it to know when a big move is likely.
That's right. You can see some examples here.
January, an event popped up on the calendar, $1,298 in 2 days. March, another event popped up, $999 in 8 days. May, $1,698 in 8 days. July, $3,010 in 14 days. September, $1,520 in 6 days. November, $2,761 in just 2 days, and on and on.
There are Forex events every week. Not everyone is important, but many are. So you can use them to get ahead of the volatility.
Well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you know how to use volatility to your advantage. After all, you worked on the Chicago Board Options Exchange, and this is the outfit that created the VIX, the famous volatility index. That's the gold standard indicator that everybody uses. What's more, going back to the beginning of last year, the market's been extremely volatile. Yet anybody following your work could have avoided the chaos and actually made money. You've truly made a career out of bad markets like this one. Okay, so we have covered putting a P on the page every day and using volatility to your advantage. Are there any other parts of your strategy?
There are. I also use some technical indicators. It would take too long to break them all down. Instead, I've put them all in a special report. When you combined all the parts, you can do really, really well.
Well, now that's an understatement. As I mentioned earlier, Larry had his returns audited. You can see the net income he delivered to his clients. 2004, $5.2 million. 2005, $4.6 million. 2006, $32.4 million. 2007, $56 million. 2008, $95.7 million. 2009, $70.4 million. 2010, $75.1 million. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in pure profits.
And it's not just in the past. My strategy continues to work today.
Let's talk about that. Starting in January, you did a beta test. This wasn't some back test that an MBA student put together on his laptop. You issued $1,000 per trade, is that right?
Correct. Nothing was hypothetical. It was 100% real.
And what happened?
It worked really great. Jump back to January 30th.
Tell us what was happening in the stock market.
It was starting to fall, but we didn't care. We recommended a trade. You can see the results.
Overnight, as much as $528? That is fast.
Yes, and we're just getting going.
It looks like the same day that one closed, February 1st, you issued the next trade.
And it worked even better.
Yes, this time you could have made $1,893. So within about a week, your beta testers could have made over $2,000. There are probably some people who haven't had a $2,000 week for some time now, and you made that with just 2 trades.
That's right, and we're not done yet. On February 6th, we issued our next recommendation.
So you weren't waiting around. You were issuing one trade after the next.
Absolutely, and why not? This is what's great about currencies. We're in a chaos window. You can trade them all day, every day.
And this time, it looks like you could have made as much as $521. And I see that as soon as that trade closed, you were right into the next one.
This one took a little bit longer, 24 days, but it was worth it.
Yeah, you could have made $969. And once again, you were right into another trade.
And this one was arguably our best one. On March 13th, we issued a new trade. Look what happened.
By March 15th, just 2 days, your beta testers could have made up to $1,823. Now, I know not every trade was a winner, but we are talking about an average of $566 every week from $5,000 investments. You were on track to deliver tens of thousands of dollars on the year. That kind of windfall would be a dream come true right now, especially when you consider that the S&P 500 fell 4% over the same time period.
When we saw these results, it was clear the strategy works. We knew we needed to share it with our readers.
Well, the way I see it, with everything they're going through right now, it would be a disservice not to. In just the past few months, we've had the biggest banking scare since 2008. Several regional banks, including Silicon Valley's go-to bank, collapsed. We've had inflation and recession scares nonstop. Yet through all of this, your beta testers could have seen a near continuous stream of gains.
That's right. That's why I'm here today. I want everybody watching to have the same opportunity.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one who wakes up every morning wondering, if this is the day the economy officially falls apart. The idea of making steady income while everything else seems to be on the verge of collapse would allow for true peace of mind.
Stock market crashes, rate hike, Years of lousy market returns. Who really cares? You can finally escape all of that.
And just to be clear, you were trading just 3 currency pairs in your beta test. I mean, you don't have to invest in obscure currencies or currencies that have defaulted in the past, like the Argentine peso.
No, you can forget about all those. They are way too risky. I never touch them.
That's what I really like about you. I know that risk management is one of your specialties. During your time on Wall Street, you went 13 years with a maximum monthly loss of just 3.5%. And talking to you before, I know that your targeted approach was a big reason for that. There are 180 currencies from 197 different countries. I mean, how can anyone know the ins and outs of all of them?
Imagine if you had 180 investments. Could you know them all well? Well, it's the same thing for Forex. I track less than 1% of currencies on the planet. I know them very well. I trade them over and over again.
Now, before we ask you to reveal your #1 ticker to trade right now, let's talk about your next big opportunity. Is this all about the next Fed announcement?
Yes, just before it.
Okay, in that case, I've got to share something with the folks at home. Back in March of last year, I interviewed Larry, and he shared his outlook on the Fed. Looking back, he was almost prophetic. He predicted a year of rate hikes and inflation. At the time, almost no one agreed with him. You probably remember the Fed proclaiming inflation is transitory and interest rates would never rise. But the so-called experts, they were dead wrong. And Larry was 100% right. But even better, he found a way to profit from his conviction. While most investors bet on a Fed pivot, he said no, more hikes were coming. He even called the hike in March. He predicted a 25 basis point hike, and he was spot on. I don't think I've ever seen someone call a series of moves so perfectly. So that's the backdrop here. When Larry talks about the Fed, it pays to listen. All right, go ahead, Larry.
Okay, here's what's going on. I think the Fed is going to start raising rates.
Now?
If not now, very soon. We are not out of the woods. We're not even close.
Wait, not even close? But Larry, I've got to say, a lot of folks are predicting the Fed is going to start cutting rates. So you disagree?
That's wishful thinking. We have a long way to go here.
If the Fed were to stop here, you think inflation would race even higher?
Yes. You think the world feels chaotic now. Just imagine how much worse it could get. You can't fix these things overnight. It takes time. Think of the 80s.
What happened?
Well, it took years. Rates reached 16%. We're not done yet, Kim.
So you see more inflationary pressure in the months ahead, which is not great for stocks, but good news for the dollar, right? When rates go up, its value rises.
Yes, I'm bullish on the dollar versus other currencies here. I think we will get a lot stronger over the next 12 months. It's my #1 currency to trade right now.
Well, that's fascinating. This whole chaos window started with the dollar taking off. Now you say it's going to take off again, triggering a new wave of trading opportunities?
Exactly. Most people are going to be shocked. They don't see this coming. That's why we have such a huge advantage right now.
Well, and this is important, folks. Larry's predicted each zigzag move of the Fed as well as anybody. If he's right again, it could kick off a massive trading opportunity starting immediately. While most investors see nothing but chaos, you could be capturing a whole slew of gains.
Yes, like I said, most people don't see this coming. But if you get in...
The market?
No, not at all. It would create a whole new set of trading opportunities. That's what's so great about Forex. You can trade it either way.
So whichever action the Fed takes, it's ultimately good news for Forex traders.
Exactly. We're flexible. We'll trade it either way.
Okay, Larry, let me see if I can sum everything up here. As a hedge fund manager, you went 20 years without losing money. Your hedge fund, Banyan Capital, was one of the most successful hedge funds on Wall Street. It was ranked in the top 1%. And during that time, one of your biggest secrets to success was your currency trading strategy. Once the window opened, you used it for years to make millions for your clients over and over again in any market. In fact, some of the best results came in turbulent markets just like this one. Then, when the window opened again, you started beta testing it. And the results have been amazing. Your beta testers could have made $500, $1,000, even $1,800 or more in a matter of days. So despite all of the chaos that we've seen in 2023 and now in the coming weeks, you believe the chaos is only going to get worse. But instead of panicking, You've got a strategy to profit from it that's worked time and again.
That's exactly right. Now look, I cannot guarantee things will unfold 100% as I predict. Of course not. Nothing is guaranteed. But you can't argue with my results.
No, you can't. Your strategy clearly works, and the beta test proves it. Though it seems silly to think anyone would doubt you after you went 20 years on Wall Street without losing a dime. So let me ask you, when will you release your next recommendation?
Very soon. I'm getting it finalized right now. Just remember, you have very little time to act on it. The market moves fast. If you put it off, even one day, you can completely miss out.
Okay, folks, please remember that. You will want to be ready to act ASAP. Don't wait until the panic is underway. Get in beforehand. And Larry, I understand that you are preparing an alert. You're going to send it out as soon as the next opportunity opens up.
That's right. It'll be short and to the point. Action to take and the currency.
So if someone doesn't have experience trading currencies, will they be able to make this trade?
Absolutely. Just enter the currency and make a few mouse clicks. It's very straightforward.
I think this is a good time for your on-air trade demonstration. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Please note that while this simulation is live, this is not an official recommendation. This is intended for educational purposes only to show you exactly how Larry's strategy works. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
So you take out my screen, and the currencies are on the bottom of the screen, the euro, British pound, and the yen. If you want to place a trade, you would click on the yen, and it would come up. It's trading at 133.66.5, and you would hit either buy or sell, and it would pull up the screen for that, and you just click one more button, and you're in.
Okay, very good. That wasn't nearly as hard as I thought.
Like I said before, if you can trade stocks, you can definitely trade currencies.
Now, the dollar isn't the only currency you're recommending today, isn't that right?
That's correct. I've also got two more. I've been trading them for years. We use them during our beta test to deliver big gains.
And as I understand it, you've prepared a report. It's called Larry's Complete Guide to Currency Trading.
That's right. This report will show how to start trading currencies the right way.
Now, first off, you'll get a detailed breakdown of the currency market. And as you've seen, it's different from the stock market. There are no complex financial statements, broad market crashes, or down years. Instead, you have trillions of dollars flying around every day, and the best investors in the world all jockeying to get a cut. Then Larry will give you a detailed breakdown of all three of his favorite currencies. They're all large, well-established currencies, and they're perfectly positioned for big moves in today's market. And finally, Larry will reveal his entire approach. Does that include the parts of your strategy that you weren't able to cover today, Larry?
Yes, it'll cover everything, including things we couldn't get into today.
All right, sounds great. And it will even break down the key dates to keep an eye on. Larry issues trades all throughout the year, but these are the dates that are likely to trigger the biggest moves in the currency market. You'll get them all in the special report. So whether you've been trading currencies for years or you're just getting started, you'll want to get all the details on Larry's strategy. It's really no exaggeration that it could be worth thousands upon thousands of dollars to you. Plus, Larry's also put together a currency training center. Tell us about it, Larry.
Sure. Listen, I know Forex can be intimidating, especially if you've never done it before. Through a series of short videos and special reports, we can help you get started.
And this is a tremendous resource. It's the most detailed currency training site I know of. It's just like it sounds. It's designed to show you exactly how to get started. Larry and his team have created videos on everything from how to set up an account, how to place a trade, how to set stop losses, and more. Now he's offering you complete, unrestricted access. You'll find all the instructions you need to act on Larry's next series of recommendations. Now, before we get to the other resources that you've prepared, why don't we get to your big announcement, Larry?
Sure. For the first time, I am launching a currency trading research service. Anyone who joins right now can get a special deal.
That is big news. And Larry's new research service is called Currency Wizard. It's the only currency trading service we know of that lets you trade actual recommendations from a market wizard. Of the few dozen market wizards in the entire world, Larry's the only one willing to share his secrets with everyday folks. Every week, Larry will show you how to use his strategy. while buy and hold investors watch their portfolio bounce up and down and end up right back where it started. Those following his recommendation will have the chance to pull thousands out of the currency market every week. If his success is anything like the other services he's launched recently, it could be immensely profitable to you. And listen to this, folks. Last year, in S&P Trader, his spread trading research service, Larry delivered a 79% win rate. Most people are happy with anything over 50%, and he crushed that. All told, during a year where the market was deep in the red, anybody who followed all of Larry's S&P Trader recommendations could have made double-digit profits. And his opportunistic trader readers could have made even more. During one of the most difficult markets ever, anybody who followed all of his picks could have generated 155% return on cash. That more than doubles your money. Obviously, no strategy is foolproof, but it's hard to argue with that kind of success, Larry.
Oh, thanks so much, Kim. I'm just happy that I'm able to help my subscribers. A lot of people are struggling right now. They don't know what to do, and they have been told there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, that's true. I hear these experts saying that we just have to ride out this down market and hope for the best. It's really depressing.
Well, that's garbage. You can make money in today's market.
Well, based on your results, not only can you make money, it's possible to make a lot of money. And I haven't even mentioned his success in One Ticker Trader. This is his introductory service that he launched in August of last year. Larry delivered a perfect track record in 2022, 11 for 11. He didn't have a single losing recommendation, and he keeps delivering double-digit returns.
Oh, thanks so much, Kim. I'm proud of this success, but I'm most excited about my new currency strategy. We use the same kind of techniques, only the profit potential is bigger.
Well, that's great news because already the profit potential has been huge. Just listen to what some of the folks already following your work have reported making from your other services. Todd says, this morning at 9:40 a.m., I am at Lowe's buying stuff to paint my house and check E-Trade on my phone while I'm in the store. I made over $7,000. I quickly closed out the positions in the store and smiled as I checked out. Thank you, Larry. Chris N says, I made $12K within 3 hours. I get the feeling that Larry's strategy is the only thing I will need to retire comfortably. Thanks, Larry, for taking the decision to help common people. He made $4,000 per hour, Larry. I mean, that's just incredible. Rod R says, over 800%. That's my biggest 24-hour trade I've had in over 20 years. Thanks, Larry. Rod didn't say how much he invested, but if my math is correct, an 800% gain turns $5,000 into $45,000.
I love hearing these stories, Kim. It makes it all worth it to me. The good news is if you missed out, don't worry. We're just getting started.
Yes, we are. And here's the point, folks. Normally in a moment like this, there's a leap of faith, right? All you can do is hope that the expert can actually deliver on his promises. Well, that is not the case today. The track record, it's all there. Not only did Larry deliver for years as a hedge fund manager, making millions every year for his clients, he continues to deliver. Now you have a chance to access his latest project for an unbelievable deal. Now, how much would you pay to have access to the ideas of a man who's generated $274 million in wealth, who had 20 profitable years in a row? An independent firm in San Francisco legally audited the results of Larry's fund, Banyan Capital, from 2004 through 2012. They confirmed that Larry and his team generated a total of $274,572,167. That's net income. Bottom line, he ran money for the Saudi National Bank, for two of the oldest private Swiss banks, a private Luxembourg bank owned by the Al Thani family, the ruling family of Qatar, the Bank of New York, and more. The point is, Larry is not your average trader. According to Barron's, he's one of the top money makers in the entire world. Now, when Larry was running money, you couldn't get access to his ideas unless you had a minimum account of $1 million. It was for multimillionaires and billionaires only. But the good news here is that this membership doesn't cost nearly that much. One full year of Currency Wizard costs $4,000. To get access to one of the top money makers on the planet, well, it's a steal if you ask me. Because the next opportunity is upon us, and because Larry's next set of trade alerts could potentially deliver extraordinary gains in just a matter of days, if you join right now, you won't pay nearly as much. We're going to slash the price all the way down to $2,000. That gives you a 50% discount. That is a generous deal, Larry. Based on the results that you've delivered, they have the chance to make way more than $2,000 from a single trade. I mean, imagine what you could do with a whole series of them. Please don't wait, folks. Just click the link on the page to get started. It will take you to a completely secure order form where you can review everything. And more importantly, you can place your order there. It's simple, secure, and only takes a minute. And don't worry, folks, if you have trouble accessing the enrollment form, please try again. It may be because we have too many people trying to access it all at once. All right, we are about to launch into our Q&A session, so let me just give you a recap of everything you're going to get when you subscribe. The minute you join, you'll be among the first to receive all of Larry's currency trade alerts. That includes both buy and sell alerts. You'll get his special report, Larry's complete guide to currency trading. You'll get unrestricted access to Larry's new currency training center. You'll get weekly performance updates delivered every Friday. You'll get a 12-month membership to Currency Wizard for just $2,000. You'll get weekly recommendations all throughout the year, each one using one of Larry's hand-picked currencies. Plus, Larry also offers push notifications. How does that work?
Well, it's an alert system. The minute I find a trade, it sends an alert to your smartphone.
That's really handy for people on the go. And if you're worried about potentially missing out on one of Larry's recommendations, then you can have a notification sent right to your smartphone. And of course, you'll also get Larry's 90-day guarantee. If you are not 100% happy with your membership, just contact Larry's team within the first 90 days. You'll get a full credit. It's good for any product that Larry or his partners publish. And of course, I don't think it'll come to that. Given Larry's track record, I think it's much more likely you'll be calling Larry's team to tell them about the gains you made from his latest recommendation. And just remember, you have very little time to access this wealth of resources at this price. This deal is only available for a very limited time. If you wait, you could completely miss out. To take advantage of this special offer, just click the link on the page. Okay, while folks are looking at the sign-up page, why don't we get into our Q&A? Is that okay, Larry?
Sounds great, Kim.
All right, let me get the questions from my producer. Thanks, Lance. All right, so folks, this is your time to ask Larry your questions. He can't give personalized advice, but we're going to cover as many questions as we can, all right? So let's go ahead and start with this one. How long do you think this currency window will be open?
Well, first I want to say that the currency window was closed for almost 10 years. We traded currencies very, very actively throughout my career from the 80s when I worked at Spear Leeds up until when I had my fund at Banyan, all the way through 2012, 13, and 14. And then the window closed because of what we discussed earlier in the webinar, that the Fed took rates down to zero and took the wind out of the sail of volatility and uncertainty. In the 80s, volatility was insane in currencies. It was probably the best place to be. We talked about it before with George Soros, Andy Krieger. Moves were, 2 to 10% overnight in broad currencies such as yen and euro and British pound. That ended. But what we're seeing now is moves a bit smaller than that. But I do believe going forward for the next bunch of years, this currency window will be open because the Fed has gone off of easy money, taken rates from 0 to 5% right now. We believe they may pause, but we think it's going to go higher, which will create much more wild swings. And with that, we'll have the opportunity to make a lot of money. So I believe the window could be open for a decade here, potentially, because of the Fed action.
All right, that is great to hear. Okay, and here's another good question. If I have a small portfolio, can I trade currencies?
Well, that's a really good question. And the answer to that is 100%. Currencies were made for smaller portfolios. They provide a little bit more leverage than regular equities or bonds. So we don't recommend a ton of leverage in our product at all, but it gives you the ability with a smaller portfolio to take a little bit of leverage and create large gains. So with a small portfolio, you will be able to access the currency market easily.
We like hearing that. Okay, here's a question about risk. And I mentioned earlier that one of your specialties is capital preservation. You went years without losing money on Wall Street. So here's the question. What is your secret to risk management when it comes to Forex trading?
Well, the way we manage risk is not only in Forex, it's for everything we do. And again, we talk about it pretty much all the time, is put the P on the page. So what we like to do is grind out profits. And then when we have profits, take a little bit more risk and exposure, not a ton, but more. So if you start with one contract and we're doing really, really well, you would want to maybe go up to 2 contracts, take a little bit more risk, but you're playing with profits, and it's very important. We don't take more risk when we're not making money. So really, the secret to money management, A, is obviously using stops, but it's really money management more than anything else. So as we do better, we get bigger. As we do not as well, we get smaller, but we try to grind up profits so that we have the ability, when we see something coming that looks really opportunistic, that we could take a little bit more risk.
Okay, and Larry, I'm sorry, forgive me if you mentioned this, but do you use stop losses in your service?
We use stop losses on all our trades, and then we also use exits. So when we put a trade on, we will use a stop, but we also will give you a level where to exit the trade. So it makes it much more simplistic for anybody to use this, whether you have brand new, no experience, to a ton of experience.
That's great. Very simple, easy. Okay, this is really a good time to remind everyone of your special deal. Larry is about to release the next series of recommendations, and you don't want to miss them. If they're anything like his past ones, you could have the chance to make steady gains even in today's difficult environment. He's prepared a special deal for everyone watching right now. As I said earlier, the retail price for a 12-month subscription to Currency Wizard is $4,000. But today, Larry's put together a special deal for you. You can see a full breakdown on your screen. As long as you join right now, you pay a small fraction. Best of all, as a member, you will be able to take advantage of all of Larry's upcoming recommendations. So please don't wait, folks. If you join right now, you'll have the chance to act before the next big moves. If you wait, you could completely miss out. Just click the button on your screen, lock in this deal while you still can. Okay, let's get to some more questions. Okay, here's a good one. What's the normal holding period for your recommendations?
That's another good question. It's really not predetermined. So each different trade may have a different holding period. Obviously, our ideal trade is within a day. So that would mean we would put the trade on, things would go perfectly, and we would exit the trade within 20 no certainty on the holding time. So I would say anywhere from as little as a day to a few weeks.
All right. Moving on to the next question, another good one, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about this. What is your long-term prediction for the stock market?
I always get that question.
Yes, you do.
I would say my long-term prediction for the stock market going out years is slow incremental gains, potentially, but underperformance from what we've seen over the last decade. I would say probably flat to a little bit higher over the next 5 to 10 years. So, but that doesn't mean there's not a lot of opportunity. There'll be, and we see it already in 2023. Nobody really expected the market to take off. NASDAQ is up 15% for the year. The S&P is up 6%. I didn't see that coming. We've sort of stayed out of the way, but I do believe it's going to be choppy through the year. The market may end again flat to negative, which is hard to see from here. So it would be negative returns from here for the year, but on a longer term basis, I would say 5 to 10 years of flat to minimal gains.
Well, you've been right on with your predictions in the past, so we'll wait and see what happens. Next question, Larry, are you planning to retire anytime soon? I hope not.
No, I really enjoy what I'm doing, that I'm able to provide information and education, etc., to everybody out there. For my entire career, I traded at Spear Leads, which was a very large firm that was acquired by Goldman Sachs. And then I set out and had my own hedge fund for close to 15 years. And I wasn't able really to provide